Hello, thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how I created my wig for Ryme from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This is 6 hours of footage from about 30 working hours spread out over 3 weeks in May with one all-nighter at the end. Let's get started. First up, we have a wig stand and a wig base. I like using a braided wig cap because many of my wigs require crocheting and it's easier to attach the hair. You can get yours at a local beauty supply store or Amazon. Next, I place the wig cap on the stand and then get Ryme's hat to see approximately where I want her front hairpiece to extend. It's up near her right temple, a little off center from the middle of her head. Since the wig cap is black in color, I use a silver Sharpie to make my markings. After that, I go to the back of the wig cap to see where I want the back hair pieces to be attached, leaving some space for hair that's at the nape of the neck. You can't see it very well in person, but it's most definitely there in game, which is what I based my wig construction off of. Ryme has a lot of fan art and references, but I wanted this to be as canon as I could to her video game appearances. Once the wig cap has been marked, it's time to add some wig combs in the front. The addition of the hair pieces will add weight to the wig, and I want to make sure that I add some additional combs at the temples of the wig to keep the cap in place. My combs I got as a gift from my Amazon wishlist, but you can find them at beauty supply stores too. I sewed over this very slowly with a zigzag stitch to secure the combs. With the wig cap completed, next it's time to draw out patterns. I like to use paper bags from grocery stores as pattern paper, a tip that I got from one of my cosplay friends about 6 years ago. Off camera, I used a measuring tape and measured from the nape of my neck on down my back, and then from the top of my forehead on down to my waist, to see how long I wanted the hair pieces to be. Ryme's hair thankfully has a lot of symmetry, so this was taking the maximum lengths for the bones and dividing them by the number of pieces of each section needed, with most of them being about 2.5 to 3 inches wide. I call them bones since that's what they remind me of. The middle piece in the back was a little convoluted since it consisted of 5 pieces, leading to what might be a pelvis representation at the base of a spine. More than that, the front piece was the most complicated since it has a whole hand, including what looks like the radius and humerus bones in an arm. I will list my approximate measurements in the comments. I also made a note on each piece which one it was and how many cuts that I needed to make. Now that the patterns are drawn, it's time to cut everything out. After cutting out the patterns, I transfer them to pool noodles. I like to use pool noodles for bones and limbs since they are so lightweight but still hold their structure very well. To transfer some of the patterns, I did have to hold the pattern in place or tape it in place before making my mark with the Sharpie, then cutting it out. The pool noodles do have a factory finished curve to them, so I did not use it for the palm of the handpiece. They also required a little manipulation to flatten them out. On the back of every piece, I made thin cuts with my razor blade to open up the back some and help flatten the curve. Then I used my heat gun to make it malleable. Unlike regular EVA foam, pool noodle foam already has a lot of air bubbles and gaps and spaces and will melt very quickly. Each was blasted with heat for no more than about 5 seconds. Once I got it flattened, I used my sewing pattern weights to weigh them down so that they would cool off and be as flat as can be. Next, it's time to prepare the bones for receiving hair. This meant wrapping each of them in quilt batting. I used 2 types of batting. 1/2-inch batting for virtually every other bone there was, and 2-inch batting for the palm of the hand, though I did wrap it in the 1/2-inch quilt batting. This is because I wanted to try and mimic the fullness that the palm has based upon the references. As with all of the construction for this wig, it's all repetition. First, I took the foam piece and folded the battering over it, or rolled it some, then cut it out and set it aside. There was definitely overlap to ensure that I could wrap the batting securely without any of the pool noodle foam being exposed. After getting all of the batting cut out, it was time to get everything glued in place. I used hot glue for this, and I have 3 different hot glue guns: a low temp wireless gun, a multi-temp plug-in gun, and a high temp wireless gun. I went through so many glue sticks with this wig, even though gluing the batting was easy work. Once the batting was wrapped around the palm of the hand and the fingers, I wanted to construct the hand first and foremost. According to the reference, the palm has the fingers spread out pretty evenly, so that's how I glued them. I used the low temp glue gun for all of this, as the high temp was quick to melt the pool noodle foam. Pay no mind to any section of this video where it looks like my fingertips might be burning. Laying out the bones is pretty satisfying as we are almost done. To join the bones together, I used weaving thread and a curved needle. The needle would puncture the noodle easily, and the thread would secure everything in place. While allowing my wireless guns to recharge, I took that as an opportunity to start adding the crochet hair to the back of the wig. Her official fan art and appearance in the anime look as it's almost a platinum blonde, like a 613 color, but in the video game it's gray in color as she is canonically an older woman. I used sensational crochet kinky afro twist hair. I chose this hair because I wanted the bones to have that textured looking hair that Ryme does in the game. The pieces were sectioned off, 3 bundles in a pack, and I think that they were 36 inches long. For the hair at the back of her head, I cut the weaving hair into shorter pieces and then attached it. This is one thing that I would have changed if I were to make her wig again, because the short, thin pieces created a lot of unnecessary bulk. I would have liked to have left the pieces long and then snaked them around in a serpentine look, or flat twist it and serpentine it around, and then just glue it in place. But I wanted to try to mimic the curl pattern that she has going, or I guess a twist pattern that she has going on. So I did my best to try to flat twist all of that bulky hair. Off camera, I wound up securing it in place after I attached the bones. Attaching the bones with the weaving thread was fun. I hate hand sewing because my tendons often flare up when I'm doing small detail work, which is why you may or may not have seen that hot pink brace on my arm. As long as I pace myself, I'm okay, but this section of the video is during the all-nighter. If I do wind up doing this again, it would be with plenty of rest breaks. There was an order of operations for attaching the bones. The side sections in the back that have just 3 pieces, I could do those as is. The middle section has 2 pieces at the top. I attached those individually, and then I would crochet a piece of hair at the top of each of those sections, and then wrap it around. Then I would continue to wrap hair around as it would go to the bottom. And once that was done, I would glue those 2 pieces together. For the pelvis looking bone, or the base of the spine, I suppose, I wrapped half of that with the hair first, going in slow sections to make sure that everything was adhered. Once I got to the middle of that, I left it open so that I could attach it to the spine piece and then finish wrapping the hair around it. For the spine piece, I added small sections of hair first to make sure that it looked seamless, to make sure that you couldn't see the connection point. I did it in this particular order to make sure that the hair would flow just right and that there wouldn't be any gaps where the hair ended and the next piece or the next section began. Going back, I wish I could have done something to make those sections a little bit more defined where they were joined, but for being the first Ryme cosplayer to do this wig almost identical to how it is in the game, I know that's just my perfectionism speaking. As mentioned, the rest of the construction is just repetition. Gluing, wrapping, gluing, securing, gluing, wrapping, securing, so on and so forth. The radius and the humorous I wound up sewing first, then adding glue to the connections to secure it, then adding the hair. I wound up with absolutely no hair left over. Each piece of braiding hair I made sure to pluck apart and then feather to spread it out so that there was better opacity and you couldn't see the batting beneath. In the future, if I were to make this again, I'd like to airbrush or paint the bones gray for the small tiny pieces of batting that you could see. But again, that's just my perfectionism. The last piece of construction that you see me do on camera is finishing the hand. This was a little unique as I needed to cover the spaces in between the fingers in addition to covering the fingertips first, before wrapping hair around everything. It was a little difficult to do since the palm didn't have any rigid solid base beneath, just the squishy batting. It all worked out in the end though. The very last two pieces of hair I actually wrapped around the hairline of the wig, or the perimeter of the wig so to speak, to give it an appearance of hair peeking out from beneath the hat. However, the only visible hair that you see are just each of those bone pieces as well as what was at the nape of the neck. I left the rest of the wig cap unfinished since it's covered up by her ball cap. Ryme's costume has a lot of layers and I didn't want to get too overheated. Overall, even with the all-nighter rush job at the very end, I'm so proud of how this wig was constructed. It came out just as I imagined, and early photos of Ryme's debut at my anime convention actually went viral, with a post of mine on Facebook reaching 10,000 likes and 2,000 shares. As time goes on, I'll make a couple small enhancements, and I am due to give her a proper photo shoot here soon. For now, I am really glad that you sat through all 30 plus minutes of this video, and I hope that it helped. If you are cosplaying as Ryme and want any tips or tricks on how I did something, please feel free to reach out. Look for the rest of the series of videos on this construction, and know that I am always glad to help. Take care, and thank you so much for watching.